Today on Crown and Sage, we're sitting down with a powerhouse husband and wife duo who are not only adjusting spines, but adjusting lives. They've built Clear Chiropractic from the ground up, expanded to 2 thriving locations, and somehow still keep their marriage fresh and raising a 3-year-old. We're talking healing, business growth, and love, all in one conversation. Let's dive in. Dr. Joe and Eva.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you guys, not only because you guys treat us so well physically and you guys love on us all the time, but you guys have such a wealth of knowledge in the healing space and the business space. So I'm just eager to glean some knowledge from you guys and share with the audience how you guys make this magical thing called Joe and Eva happen. Clear Chiropractic is amazing.
So actually, it's Jova.
Jova.
There already is a thing for that.
Yeah.
Identity.
Jova. I like it. All right, Jova. I like Jova.
Well, I got to shout out you guys first. We got to give credit where it's due. Both of you have been hugely influential in our lives. And, you know, when we moved to South Bay and to open up this practice, you were both so welcoming and receiving and, you know, said, hey, let me connect you with people and let me invite you to our parties. And that was so, it was so grounding and so like, this is the right place for us because it felt like we knew you forever, even though we had just met you. So thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to make South Bay feel like home and know that this is where we want to put roots and make an impact on the community. So shout out to you guys.
Oh, the feeling is mutual. Well, I want to dive into your personal history. How did you first meet, and was chiropractic already part of your lives when you met?
Our love story. It all started one night in Oakland at a dive bar called The Layover. But really,
Don't look it up. It's scary.
We're going to look it up.
I actually did look it up. It closed. It looks like it closed at some point during COVID,
Bummer.
but it was epic. So we were friends. We met in chiropractic school in the Bay Area, and we were friends. Actually, my husband was running a chiropractic training group. He was teaching like lower quarter students, people earlier on in the program, how to adjust because he was just a G like that.
All right.
So we were friends for a long time. And then, yes, one night in Oakland, things changed, things shifted. So that was our love story. And we never looked back. We always knew we wanted to practice together. And we each like came into chiropractic from very different avenues. But I know that the universe conspired in so many different ways for all the tiny little things to have to fall right into place for us to each end up at that school in that career at the same time, for us to meet and for us to fall in love.
Wow. So who made the first adjustment? I mean, the first move.
Oh, man.
You like that?
Well, that was good. That was good, Nates. Very good. Well, that was so funny about that is because we were good friends, and like I never thought in a million years. Like I was there in chiropractic school to become a chiropractor, be the best at what I was going to do. I didn't want any distractions, and of course, I had friends, and you know, it was actually her roommate who, shout out to Dr. Danielle Lamarand. I was about to leave the place, and she's like, "You're not leaving." And it was like the last train was going back home. I was like, "No, I got to leave. I got to catch that train." She's like, "You need a little Eva in your life." And I was like, "Eva? What do you mean?" She's like, "You're coming home with us." And I was like, what? It was like a total, what are you talking about? How could that be? But as soon as I got an opportunity, I was like, well, okay, I'm in love with you. Can we get married tomorrow, please? Aww. So it was one of those things, like, I never in a million years would I thought it. I respected the heck out of her. She, you know, was doing her thing in school and had her own reputation, was really good at what she does, was a really excellent communicator, had a great energy, great, you know, group of people that she connected with and trained with. So I always just respected and admired her, and never in a million years thought we'd, you know, make that other step.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them the creepy story about me sending you books?
Yes. So also, I mean, it wasn't creepy.
Books.
He was actually my mentor. We're both involved in this organization on campus where we helped to welcome in and share about chiropractic to prospective students. So we're both involved in this organization, and I was new to it. He was like almost a year ahead of me in the program. And at one point you were to choose like a mentor and a mentee. So the people that were more vetted in the program were to choose the newbies and like take them under their wings. So he chose me to be his mentee. I don't know why.
She was hot.
He has eyes.
Yes.
And, you know, okay, so that was happening. Separate thing. About a month later, just completely randomly, I received a book in the mail. It was The Alchemist.
Oh,
we love that book.
It's a
good
great book.
choice.
Great book. But there was no information. I had no idea who sent it. Maybe like 2 weeks later, I got another book. It's the Celestine Prophecy. It's another great book.
Wow.
And I'm like, who is this mysterious book? And this was a whole thing. Like all my roommates knew about it. My family at home knew about it. It's like, who's sending me these books? And I was going through these various chiropractors that I knew that I was mentoring with. And I was just like, who could this person possibly be? I did not discover that it was my future husband until maybe like 6 months to a year later. Like the mystery remained. And I don't know, at some point we figured it out. And my sister actually told the story when she was doing our vows at our wedding. Like this, she's very poetic. So she made it sound she tied it together and wove it through with our story. But yeah, he mysteriously sent me books and there was just this great mystery. And those books are still very special to us in our love story and in our lives.
He romanced you with metaphysical books.
Yes.
That's amazing.
He would.
Now on my end, I sent her these books. I thought I had put the little note in there, like, "Hey, from Joe to Eva," you know. So I sent her these books, and I don't ever hear anything from her. She never mentions them. So like, okay,
She tossed them.
maybe she's not a reader. Maybe she's not into it. And again, still not like thinking relationship. Just like, hey, like, you know what? She's a new
Friend.
student. All right, she's awesome. I'll be her mentor, which wasn't that official or anything that deep. But okay, I'll send her these books, and then she didn't never mention them. Oh, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a sign. So again, when then eventually it did come out that she'd be open to something, I was like, what? She didn't even like my books. But anyway, it all worked out.
Wow, look
All
at
worked out.
that. Different wavelengths that found each other.
Well, it's, when you're vibrating at the same frequency, it just comes together.
That's absolutely right. And it really did feel like we'd known each other for an eternity. Like it really felt like we had been together forever. It still feels that way.
It's so poetic, like in The Alchemist, right? Was it Santiago
written.
who went through the struggle, his hero's journey? Every struggle led him to the prize, right at the end of the day, at the end of the book. So, wow, that's so cool. What a cool story.
Yeah.
When did the spark ignite for Clear Chiropractic? When you guys decided, hey, we're gonna, you're romancing already, you're together, you're dating. Because I think you guys started this thing before you got married, right? So how did you guys dive into, like, we're dating, we're going to start a business? Like, wow, that's a big risk, I think, to be dating and start a business together.
Well, we originally, our plan in chiropractic school was to go back to Maryland. His sister and brother-in-law are both chiropractors, and they own a practice in Maryland. So plan A was we were going to move to Maryland, live in their basement. We were going to open a satellite office for them in Maryland, and that was the plan. And then on the day of his graduation, which of course I was still, a year out from graduation at that point, almost a year, my best friend growing up, both of her parents are chiropractors. She's now a chiropractor. Both of her sisters are chiropractors. They all married chiropractors. It's a whole chiropractic dynasty, if you will. On the day of his graduation, this great epic chiropractor influencer in our lives goes, hey, Joe, you want a job in San Diego? I'm looking to hire someone, but you got to let me know in the next, 12 hours he gave you? 24 hours?
Yeah, it was like, you call me this weekend. I've got an opportunity. And I didn't know. He's like, what are you doing for work? I was like, I'm going to Maryland. My store. My family was there. He's like, just call me. Call me before the weekend's over. I called him and he said, yeah, I got this office in San Diego. We've, for the last 20 so years, bring in a new doc, work them to the bone, teach them everything that they need to know about running their own business. And then eventually you can either stay with us as long as you want, or you can open up your own thing. It's a year commitment. Tell me by tomorrow.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, and again, never in a million years thought San Diego. Kind of story that you hear when you're in chiropractic school from some of the older kind of old crusty chiropractors is don't go to San Diego to practice. There's too many chiropractors. I mean, you heard that story, right?
Really?
Oh.
Don't go to San Diego. Don't go to San Diego. So we kind of heard that story in our minds. And then we talked about it. We're like, when you think about San Diego, you think about this like health and wellness sort of city where people are active. And she's from San Diego. I'm not from San Diego. So I think part of it was she didn't want to go back to where she knew. Two, we're like, San Diego's good. They're loaded with chiropractors and they're a healthy city. Maryland, they could use some help. So we're like, let's go where the real need is. Plus, we really valued learning from husband and wife couples. Because like, if we're going to do this thing, which again, we were pretty clear at that point of like, we're committed to each other forever. We want to learn the ins and outs. How do you have a healthy relationship and a healthy business? Because you guys know it's a lot that goes into it, and it just doesn't happen by chance. So we were very intentional of like, whoever we're going to work with and for has to be husband and wife couple, have to be doing it in a congruent way. because there's all sorts of different business models out there, right?
Yes.
So we want somebody that's doing it for the right reasons, taking care of people in the way that we would want to, congruent model-ish, knowing that there's always going to be nuances. So that's where my sister and brother-in-law fell into that perfect little, qualification. And then this opportunity came up, and he is a chiropractor with his wife. They opened their practice. They've been in practice for, at that point, it was over 30 years.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, this kind of meets the qualifications. Now, she had 9 months of school left, and I was like, okay. I was just going to plan on hanging out in the Bay Area for 9 months, and then we're going to go to Maryland. But I was like, what if I just live in San Diego for a year? You finish up in 9 months. We'll do a little bit of a distance thing, and then we'll go to Maryland. Well, here we are 10 years later. We never went to Maryland. The hardest call I've ever had to make was to my sister that day when I made that decision. I was like, man, I love you. And this has always been what I thought I was going to do. And I got this opportunity, and I just feel like I got to take it. And she, we cried together, and she's like, I completely understand. I would take it, and I love you, and our doors are always open for you, but you do your thing, do your path, and you let me know. And I was like, oh, okay. Wow. So I got the blessing, and then the logistics of, okay, we're a little bit of a distance. You're going to be in the Bay. I'm going to be in San Diego. Like, how are we going to coordinate this? I'm going to be working hard, but I think, and I'll let you speak in a second, I think that was the best thing for our relationship. Because we were already we could spend 24/7 together and just love it. And we were so congruent. We could talk about chiropractic all day. We could have fun all day. But the opportunity for her to really dive into, because that was when she was entering the clinical portion of her schooling. So she's responsible for taking care of patients from the community and doing classes and doing boards. And then it was an opportunity for me to go into the career and go all in. That distance gave us the space to be like, all right, you're locked into what you're doing. I'm locked into what we're doing. We're going to connect often, but we're going to both focus on that thing because it's important, and we're going to come together eventually. And I think that was huge for her development. I think it was huge for my development to be like, know that you got the love in your back corner, but also know that your career, this new mission you're on, it's going to take everything from you. It's going to consume it should, in my opinion, at least we wanted it to, of I want to have all energy into this thing so I can learn and soak up as much as I can. So I think that was the best thing for our relationship, really strengthening the bond, letting both of us develop professionally, individually, but then coming together. Yeah,
I would agree. And also really that initial spark to kind of answer the question, we knew in chiropractic school we wanted to open up together and have our own business. And like he mentioned, it was important to us that we first received some mentorship and we got some reps under our belt working for other people. We really valued that and just gaining that firsthand experience on someone else's dime in a lot of ways. That spark existed early on. And again, our life took all of these twists and turns, and the way that we ended up in South Bay and the way that Clear Chiropractic in the version that we know it and love it now came to be is that same chiropractor, we each worked for him. So my husband worked for him for a year, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. I then graduated and took over his position there, his associateship there. And I worked there for almost a year. And then we were sort of pushed out of the nest early. Their youngest daughter was coming in to join the practice, and she finished up her stuff a little bit early. So it was maybe 3 months before I thought I was going to be departing to do my own thing. So the deadline got pushed up, and I was like, oh, shoot, okay, I guess I'm doing this thing now. So I was already writing the business plan and getting everything together and making calls and had my vision board. And, we were working towards this vision that was Clear Chiropractic, but it ended up coming sooner than we thought. And that was one of the first early lessons of opening the business, which is many timelines shifted in our expectations of how things would look. Certainly were not what came to fruition. And you had to adapt, and you had to not let it throw you off course. And there were a lot of closed doors, and there was, I thought I would just show up with a business plan and be like, we're going to open this business. And banks were going to be like, here's a bunch of money. Go ahead and do it. And that's kind of what they tell you in school. They're like, you just present the plan and you receive the loan. And everyone's like, you don't have any credit. Who are you? No. So we had to pivot again and again and again. And I think that's what ended up, giving us the resilience to endure and practice in the way that we have so far. And in our relationship is to being able to pivot and adapt and not let it throw you off course, even if it looks different than the way that you expected that it would.
Yeah, when I think of Jova, the word that comes to mind is resilience. You guys have always seemed like a resilient couple and business partners. When you got those curveballs where you weren't getting the loans, you weren't getting the space that you wanted necessarily, how did you, as business partners, but more as life partners, how did you manage the failures or the obstacles of hearing no's and getting rejected? How did you manage those from an emotional perspective as a couple?
Yeah. Can I start with that one?
Sure.
Because I need to give, again, credit where it's due. It's just so the listeners and the viewers understand, we are almost complete opposites in our personality. Dr. Eva, the visionary, the energy, the CEO, the badass mother trucker.
Can I get that on a badge?
I need a T-shirt for that one.
You want? The worker bee, the put your head down, just go to work, don't stop, and don't pick your head up, because enjoy the process and good things will come if you just keep going. I think we balance each other out.
Yeah.
Because, she was ready to open up the practice before I was, right? I'm like, no, but and she's like, no, we're doing this and I'm applying for this. And I'm like, resisting every aspect of it. So I think, to answer your question, I think that both of us balance each other out personality wise, where, if she's feeling frustrated about something, I can share my perspective. If I'm feeling frustrated about something, she can share her perspective. And I think that, again, all those little things that happen along the way as you're dating and relationships, and then like a wedding, planning a wedding.
Yeah, that's right.
Those are little microcosms of how are you guys going to communicate through stressful times? Are you guys going to lose your crap over the fact that the floral arrangement was supposed to have, petunias here, but now it's going to be, whatever there? Or can you find a way to laugh through it, let the stuff roll off your shoulder, keep perspective? And that was something that we both were very intentional about when we're planning the wedding. We're like, hey, this is going to bring some stuff up. There's a lot of, family, money, planning, all these things that just can really bring up some sensitive subjects. Like, we are going to commit to, no matter what, we're going to enjoy this process. We are not going to get lost in it. We're not going to overthink details. We're going to remember that at the end of the day, if you bring a group of people together, some booze, some music, and a little bit of food, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be that deep. So I think we both, again, very intentional about like, all right, how are we going to handle the process? We're going to enjoy the process. We're going to ride the highs and lows. They're going to be inevitable. We're expecting them, but let's make sure that we handle them by just, humor, utilizing each other's strengths and challenges, and just keep in perspective.
And I think too, with us having such different personalities, I'm very headstrong, and I will usually take no's as like, I'm very competitive, and I'm like, oh no, oh that's a no, well, I'll show you, and I will just forge forward at any cost. And again, he's very cautious, and he really values like stability and consistency. I really value a variety and different experiences, and so we're very different in that way. I'm the one that pulled him up to do karaoke, at this karaoke night. We sung a Katy Perry song. He's horrified by that. And
I nailed it. Teenage dream. There's got to be footage out there somewhere, right?
Man, we're going to find it.
Hopefully not. Let's hope that there's not. I've noticed.
Quick pause, because that was a lip syncing contest. We sang the song.
Okay.
So everybody else was lip syncing, and we just went full on.
You're right. Actually, it wasn't even
Katy
karaoke.
Perry.
I just in my brain was like, this is karaoke. You want to hear us sing this. This is what you're all here for. Anyway, for me, especially being that headstrong person, I don't like to be slowed down. So for me, I'll at least speak for myself in the beginning of our relationship, especially when we had, we were opening up the practice and getting married and moving, like literally in the same 2-week period. And he was leaving his previous job. Everything was happening all at once. And I don't like to feel like somebody is trying to constrain me. I'm a Leo, right? And I really had to shift. Like, I'm grateful, not that he's slowing me down, but that he is kind of like, I see it as guardrails. I'm so grateful to have those guardrails with our life, with our relationship, and with our family, to be able to navigate those decisions with a little bit more intention.
Yeah.
And I embrace how that actually is such a benefit, and how I'm so grateful for that. And I look at the different outcomes that have been better as the result of a little bit of, not necessarily brake pedals, but guardrails, right? And then I'm sure, I'll speak on your behalf, but I'm sure there are situations that you can think of. I'm so glad that, so glad she made me do that. She knew all along. But I think it's also just really, mindset comes down to everything, right? But my perspective and how I'm able to say, how am I grateful for my partner in the ways that he's different from me? How has that actually really served us? Wow. What are things that I might not know that were blind spots prior to him coming into my life? And I feel like that's really enabled us to come back to, not always remain in, but always come back to a space of love and gratitude for each other.
Wow. You guys are very mature.
Yes.
For a younger couple. How long have you been married?
I'm going to test my math right
Okay,
now.
so also
You're going to get him in trouble now.
I know that one of us should know the number right away,
6,
but we're neither one.
So 8.
We're both very tight.
Years.
Okay.
Wow.
20,
We got married in 2018.
2000 or 2025.
This is a trick
This
question.
is going to be 8 years.
Math.
It's going to be 8 years.
I'm an athlete, not a mathlete, so I don't know what to tell
This
you
is
there.
also neither one of us are numbers people. When it came to the business, like someone had to do it. I had to develop new strengths and vice versa. When we're like, okay, what are the ways in what we're both similar? Well, we need a person on our team, and while our team was just us, who's going to be the one to do the thing that neither one of us likes to do because somebody's got to do it. So
Who decided to fall on the sword for that one?
yeah, I track all the expense. I don't even know if he knows the login to our.
I don't. I wouldn't be able to
banking.
tell you a single bank account number. I barely know my PIN, so
Oh man.
actually, no.
Wow.
That's awesome. One theme that I'm getting, beautiful. You said what a mature, evolved. I can tell that you guys have done a lot of work on yourselves individually and collectively as a couple and as new parents too. You're with beautiful Rocco, my little buddy, Rocco. The one theme that I keep hearing, and if you notice, you keep saying gratitude, and you've both have mentioned how grateful you are for the other. When we often coach couples, we find that instead of gratitude, there's conflict. I want it my way, or why can't you see it the way that I see it, or why can't you do it the way that I do it? And what I've seen in both of you right now, and I've seen throughout the relationship that I've had with the both of you, is that you have this beautiful grace that you give one another, and this wonderful journey of gratitude that you have for one another. How do you continue to harness that gratitude and grace where you guys wake up in the morning, your parents, your husband and wife, and then you drive to the office and your business partners, and then you're practicing every day, and then you go home to dinner and you're like, how do you harness the gratitude? I mean, it's so graceful and beautiful to see and witness in the two of you.
I really want to know this answer.
Yeah, we too. We need it.
Now we're going to learn a lot.
I think for me that like the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So like me remaining in a state of gratitude in general, and that's hard to do. I feel when the things come at you and you're going day to day, the way that I interface with Joe is really no different from the way that I'm interfacing with the world around me in general. What story am I playing to myself, right? So when I feel like I'm not in gratitude, I'll catch myself playing a story where usually I'm the victim. Someone's doing this to me. I have to do this versus I get to do this, right? And I notice that that's a pattern, at least that I've discovered within myself, where I'm also like affecting the expectation I have, not just of him, right? Let's say I'm annoyed or I'm having an expectation that he's going to be mad about this or pissy about that, versus like, whoa, I'm playing a story that's my expectation of all the possible outcomes that could possibly exist. I'm going to choose the outcome that is like negative and doesn't feel good in my body and isn't going to serve our relationship and our love. No. Let me reset. Why don't I choose to believe? Why don't I give the benefit of the doubt that this is actually the best case scenario? Maybe he did this out of complete love for me. Maybe he's thinking not passive aggressive thoughts. He's just thinking about football. Like, why choose to believe something when I could choose to believe anything better? And again, I think I noticed this pattern with myself. I was sharing with him yesterday. I had a really emotionally demanding morning with Rocco, and the goodbye was hard. Goodbyes have been really difficult lately. And I was like trying to transition in my mind and my energy state to go serve people in our practice. And we work with a lot of nonverbal kids with autism, and like your energy's got to be clean. Like if you don't clear that shit, they're going to be like, don't touch me, you know? So I'm resetting my state, and I will say affirmations out loud. I have these practices that I do to shift my state, where I play music and I blast it and I just sing and move my body. Like I try to just completely shift my state as much as possible. But I found myself being like, what would be the best possible outcome for, how could things escalate so wildly in my favor and in our favor today that I would never even see it coming? And I was like, you know what, this first kid that was on the schedule, I'm like, his mom's going to tell me something absolutely incredible of a change that they've noticed with him since starting care. We hadn't heard it from her yet. He's been doing like an intensive. I'm like, today's the day. They're going to share some miracle with us. And I showed up to the office, and sure enough, you know, she's nearly in tears. He got to go on the carousel for the first time ever at the Wild Animal Park, which is a really big deal for him. He's always been terrified of it. She's like, not only was he climbing on, he went on 5 times.
Wow.
She's like, and I was crying and thinking, oh, what are these parents thinking of me? It's such a big deal for her and such a big deal for me, because I understand how big of a win that is for a parent who's never seen her child be able to enjoy the carousel. And I'm like, wow. And that was just evidence, right? So this is another thing that I do personally, is I keep an evidence journal of like all of those little affirming moments. Like I set that I set that intention on the way to the office, and boom, I got back what I had put out there that I wanted to receive that day. So I think I do the same thing with our relationship, right? If I want to reset, what are the stories that I'm playing that I can nip in the bud? How can I replace that with the best possible scenario? And then let myself expect to receive it, and then be blown away by how amazing that feels.
Wow, that's so evolved.
Wow, Eva, how did you get all this knowledge? Where
guys-
does
Yeah.
this come
See
from?
what I'm talking about over here?
Yeah.
Wow, my answer won't be as graceful. I think I was a perfect husband before I became a husband. I think I was a perfect dad before I became a dad. And then I thought I was a great chiropractor until I became a chiropractor. I just think, maturity comes with going through an experience and realizing oh shoot, maybe I don't have the skills or the knowledge or the training or the understanding that I want to have, because this feels icky and I don't like the way it feels. So I think for me, I'll speak just personally, how to navigate that dynamic of we're best friends, we're business partners, we're mom and dad, we're all these different things. I think the most important thing was recognizing that, okay, I'm operating with outdated software. I'm utilizing skills and resources and tools that may or may not have worked when I was a kid, or maybe they were just things that I absorbed through osmosis through my family or my friends' families. And maybe I don't want to operate those programs, but what do I do? What is what I want to know? Or who handles things more gracefully, or who can be a more patient person? And so for me, it was okay, recognizing oh, wow, I just had a little disagreement, a little ruffled feathers with Eva. Ooh, didn't like the way that felt. Gosh, I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, I got to learn new skills. So, okay, let me go invest in resources that help me unpack my shit and figure out oh, why do I respond to stress that way? Why do I think it's okay for me to speak to somebody like that? So I think for me, it was a big eye opener of oh, okay, when we argue, I'm just basically saying the stuff that my mom and dad said to each other, and ooh, I don't want that. Love you, mom and dad, but don't want to have anything like your relationship. Just kidding. She'll definitely listen to this. But no, I love it. And again, that was another eye opener of oh, wow, my mom and dad aren't bad people because they, yelled or they argued. They're people just like me trying to figure it out. So I think becoming a parent was really eye opening to oh, wow, parents are just people who had people and now they've expected to have this perfection and all that sort of stuff. So giving myself grace, giving my parents grace, and be wow, you guys are just trying to figure it out. And I can't imagine what that would be like to have 4 kids and working and all the stress that comes with life. But okay, so identify you're not where you want to be at. All right, well, go find resources to help you get to the next level. And then the hard work is actually implementing of okay, you learn this new skill of how to have a better challenging relationship and conversation about a situation. But, oh, I did well there. And then, I defaulted to that old program and, I didn't handle that situation right. And, I didn't manage my blood sugar well. So ultimately, to wrap this rant up, I think what I realize is I have to understand my own needs first, how to meet those needs, and then how to advocate for them. So for example, I have realized over the course of however many years we've been in practice, because don't ask me how to count numbers, I need to have, if I'm going to work, and see people on a Monday through Thursday, Friday has to be my day that I play drums. Non-negotiable.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. And it can't happen after it needs to be in this certain window of when and if I hit it the right way, I am freaking reset. I am clear, I am grounded, and I'm ready to then serve my family, show up for her, show up for Rocco, and then show up for the patients next week. If I don't get those needs met on Friday, there's a trickle effect, and then I become resentful and default to old patterns, and then it just doesn't affect the performance on Monday. I'm convinced that the only way I got there was by feeling the sting Monday after Monday, I didn't do that well, and how do I tell her what I want? Because again, something else that we learned from our parents that I've learned from my mom is the martyr mentality of just serve, just give, but then secretly become resentful of all the people around you that don't know what your needs are and didn't know that it's important for me that she knows that language or love languages, right? I did an act of service for you. That was me telling you that I love you, but I didn't realize that you wanted me to give you a hug at that point because I wasn't feeling that way because I was stressed and I just thought I'll go clean the kitchen because that needs to be done. But she didn't realize she just wanted 5 minutes with me to just talk, no wonder there's a little conflict there. So I think for both of us, it was coming up with, the ultimate goal is we want to be together. We till death do us part. We're in this no matter what. I think that was an agreement that we both like established very early on. So, okay, how do we figure out how to level our communication? How do we figure out how to work through these challenges? And then again, how do we feel the sting and then know like, okay, crap's going to happen. How do we apologize quickly? How do we then just reconnect and say, hey, you know what? I didn't take care of my blood sugar because I went in that podcast interview. I didn't eat lunch. And then I went to the office all day. And then I came home and I, instead of me just eating that freaking sandwich, I went and did this cleaning because I thought that'd be more important. And then, so do you...
Yeah, I'm glad you brought on that framework. I sent that to tell them. Same field. Well, I was going to talk about that piece about needs and getting your own needs met. Yeah. And I've noticed that as a mom too. Like I have to meet my needs first, even in the tiniest ways. If my day starts with Rocco, what are the tiny little moments I can take for myself? I want to go get sunlight first thing in the morning. He's coming with me. We're going outside. If he doesn't want to go outside, all right, you can stay inside. I'm going to go outside. He inevitably will come meet me outside. So like, how do I make some of those things non-negotiable and create boundaries? Not that I have to be away from my family to get that self-care, but like, what are the little ways in which I can meet some of my needs? Because if I forego all of my needs, I'm pouring from an empty cup.
Oof, yes.
Man, you guys really hit some points
Can you guys,
for me.
Yes, take over the podcast,
I
please.
am learning so much.
Wow. We'll give you guys a day off. How about that?
Loving that. Good job, guys.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, you got me thinking. I'm like, wow. So you guys are talking about margin, refilling your cup, things that fill your cup for, like drumming, for me, it's jujitsu. You're talking about taking care of your needs so that if your needs are met from an individual perspective, then you can better serve your spouse, your child, your community, your business, your clients. Wow, phenomenal. Okay, you got me thinking because you said you feel the sting. So when I feel the sting, I think you would agree with this too. When we feel the sting, it's so easy to revert back to these negative patterns, this mode, the old operating system. Does chiropractic have something to do with that for you guys, where you're resetting your nervous system? How do you autocorrect, or how that your autopilot? Like, hey, I'm veering off course. I'm recognizing, because oftentimes when we're in the thick of it, we don't know that we're off course.
I need to realign.
Alignment, right?
You guys are really killing it with this. Come on.
You got to align yourselves. Yes. So tell us, like, what is your secret weapon or your secret sauce to realigning?
Well, I think you really hit it on the head. You teed us up beautifully to talk about chiropractic, and I'm going to take the bait.
Let's go.
When we talk about our ability, we talked about the word resilience, right? Our ability to respond appropriately to the world around us. So not over-respond, not under-respond, and also reset our state. Really what regulates our state and our ability to process the world around us is our nervous system. And the work that we do, I'm so grateful that I married a chiropractor that does this type of work, because it enables us to clear stress as it's accumulated in the nervous system and help us better respond to the world around us. And I think that having that state change, and chiropractic is an example, getting adjusted, you're shifting your state, you're shifting your pattern, you are increasing your capacity to respond to stress and to adapt to stress at any stage of life. All stages of life have stress. I feel like whenever you're playing a pattern in your brain, you're just you inside of your head, the best way to interrupt that is to get out of your head and into your body, right? So that's why I'm hearing jujitsu, I'm hearing drums, like these experiences where you're getting out of just this you inside of your own head, and you need to break that somehow. And you need to create a shift and a pattern state, whatever that looks like. But I think chiropractic is one of the easiest and simplest and most effective and efficient ways for all ages to have that shift in state, even if it's a baby that's in a pattern of colic and upset and just, playing that loop, and maybe there was stress during the birth experience. Like, this is a way that them not maybe having like breathing tools, or they can get in the cold plunge, or they're going to listen to Rihanna. Like, no, how are we going to help the baby shift their baby state, right? This is something that we can use for all ages to help shift that, right? And get out of this sort of gas pedal, fight or flight, which I think is another component to what you're talking about. When you're feeling like you're really playing these old patterns and we're playing these stories, I feel like oftentimes it's coupled with us being in that stress mode, stuck on, right? We're perpetuating these stories. We're in fight or flight. We're on that sympathetic dominant aspect of the nervous system. The foot is on the gas pedal. How do we tap the brake, right? And give ourselves some time and space to regather and regroup and really more intentionally choose our response moving forward.
Yeah. So children, right? That's a big passion for you. So how does this apply to the children that you're working with? Like you mentioned the baby, but some of these spaces.
Well, these everybody's wired the same way. Your brain connects to your body through your nervous system. It tells it what's going on in the world, both exterior and interior. And it's your life experience, right? All your senses are processed, all your memories, all your hormones, all of your emotions, every single experience is processed through your brain and your nervous system. The tricky thing is sometimes the nervous system gives you inaccurate information. Sometimes your brain thinks there's a bear in front of you and there really isn't. Mm-hmm. And we can rant on that later. But I think to answer your question, Vero, with, whether it's a baby who had the most beautiful, blissful, beautiful birth in the whole wide world, or a baby that had a gnarly, rough, just brutal sometimes birth, both of those children have a brain and nervous system. Both of those children will inevitably encounter stress. So how can we help them build that resilience from the ground up? How can we help them essentially hit the factory reset button? So when their nervous system does get exposed to stress, whether that stressor is something in the environment as a virus, bacteria, that stressor is a change to their routine, that stressor is a change to things in their environment, they can adapt to it and overcome it rather than be like, oh my gosh, I'm so dysregulated, so out of control. And I think we're the really special work for where, Dr. Eva and I feel like we were put on this planet to do this work. And I feel like Clear Chiropractic is just starting to scratch the surface of this work, is working with these kids with special needs. If I could, and we joke about this all the time, sort of joking, although now I've seen this video equipment, we may have got to get you guys in it. But like, I wish that I could record some of these first visits with these families where we're sitting there and the child is just smashing their head against the wall the entire time. Oh. Or the other child is hitting on the other sibling, or hitting the mom and dad, or hitting us, or just tearing the office apart. I mean, there's such a level of distress. It breaks our heart into 1,000 pieces. And I think about that and I go, man, what is one day in that mom or dad's shoes like? How the fudge do they hold their nervous system accountable so that they can then help the child's nervous system regulate? And again, there's such a level of distress and dysregulation and disconnection, and just it's awful. And then you look at that and you go, well, shoot, there's something I could do to help. And then you see this transformation with these children, with this like gentle work where, again, we're not working with them like the way that we would work with you guys. It's so gentle. And sometimes it's like, I'm thinking some of those head banging kids, like there have been times where it's like they're smashing their head against one. I just go like, boop, boop, with the tool. And they're like, that's it. Because either they hit me or they're all, crying and melting down. And when you start to see that nervous system heal and you start to see that child just, they soften. And then you pick them up and you put them in your arms and they just fall asleep in your arms. Or the mom comes in the next time and says, oh my gosh, they slept for 8 hours. They never sleep for 8 hours. Or, oh my gosh, they had this big poop and they've been constipated their whole life. It's just so inspiring. And I think that also then feeds into the fact of like our perspective of like, maybe we're having a tough day. We're feeling tired or grumpy or something hurts or whatever. But you go into those trenches with those families and you see what those parents are going through and what those kids are going through. And I go, I got no problems. Wow. I got no problems. And then you serve them. And then after the shift, you're like, oh my gosh, that mom told us this. And this kid had that. And I had that amazing connection moment with this person and all those things. And it's like, you kind of let the BS go of that, maybe we communicate a little short with each other, or we didn't really understand each other there. Or we were, frustrated with Rocco in this situation. Just let it all go because you get perspective when you serve people who are in a way different situation than you are.
That's really also the ultimate shifter. I feel like however we're going into a shift, we're going to hit flow state during that shift and like everything erases from prior and it's a complete reset. And then you're just like in that heart space for the rest of the night and you can reconnect and laugh about your earlier self and the way that you were responding to things. And it is a really, really, to bring in the word gratitude again, I'm so grateful for these families that we care for and what they teach us and what they entrust us with and how much we're able to reap those benefits in our own lives, which I'm so grateful for.
Wow. You guys are doing legacy work, changing lives. It's funny because a lot of people still think about chiropractic as just back cracking or something that you do after you have a car accident, but it's so much more profound. We've been in chiropractic care for 20 plus years. And, sometimes because we're injured, but oftentimes for maintenance to quiet down the lizard brain that's like fight or flight. I want to know more about your work with neurodivergent children and how impactful chiropractic could be for them, because from a nervous system perspective, we all I think, have some sort of neurodivergence as well, and we need to tap into that electrical system that is called the nervous system. How do you start firing on all cylinders in the nervous system with chiropractic care?
Well, I'll just preface this by saying that I think children that are given a label, doesn't matter what the label is, I think there's a tendency for us to immediately look at them through a different lens, right? We've labeled them. That's going to change their life experience. It's going to change their relationship to themselves and the way that they see themselves moving through the world. Yeah. So I'd like to just open by saying that really working with a neurodivergent child is no different than working with any other human, like you're saying, with this electrical system that has stress. And sometimes that's a reframe for the parent, right? Because people come in with goals for their child. And sometimes these are big goals. I want my nonverbal child to speak. I want them to be able to sleep through the night. I want them to X, Y, Z. And, ultimately, with chiropractic and the way that we see it, we're not treating conditions. It doesn't matter what the condition is. It doesn't matter what the label is. It doesn't matter what sets of symptoms and things the person is coming in with. We're looking at them as a human being with a nervous system that is susceptible to stress, and that stress accumulates throughout the course of a lifetime. And something that we often find is a theme amidst a lot of children with challenges to their daily function, whether that's sensory challenges, focus challenges, et cetera, hyperactivity challenges, et cetera, is that they had stress that started accumulating very early on in life. And I think what not a lot of providers are looking at is the perinatal period. And what was mom's experience during the pregnancy? What was the birth like? What was her support network? Because when we talk about the nervous system, it is the first system to develop in utero. That neural tube, it develops, week 5 and 6 before a lot of people are, as they're noticing they're pregnant for the first time. And it's a very sensitive developmental mental window for the nervous system. And as a mom goes throughout her pregnancy, the two nervous systems of she and her baby are 2 in 1. They're completely enmeshed. And baby feels what mom feels. And the way that mom responds to and processes her external environment, that is baby's external environment, is mom's internal environment. So these early stressors are very shaping of the trajectory of the nervous system. And from the get-go, are we primed for fight or flight, or are we prepared for an experience of safety? And then oftentimes, regardless of how the pregnancy went, then the birth experience, right? And that's a whole other thing that we could do a 17-hour podcast on, but the birth experience in this country and the experience that so many babies have, such a jarring, dysregulating experience coming into the world. And we've normalized so much of that. And that is very shaping for the nervous system, and disruption to really sensitive portions of the nervous system that regulate eating, pooping, sleeping, latching, right? We see these kids, when we go back and we do this in-depth health history, these kids have had really stressful birth experiences. Maybe the mom had a stressful pregnancy. Maybe they had these early childhood experiences that were missed, or they were told, that's totally normal, your kid's going to grow out of it. And they didn't. They grew into other challenges, and they started getting labeled, and then this, right? So I think that's a big missing piece of the story for all of us, but especially for these kids that are getting these labels. I see it as a big, big gap that I think a lot of us collectively are missing, that is influencing the nervous system, that is influencing the function of the brain throughout life.
Wow. And then your question was, how do we work with these kids? Yeah. Well, depending on what age and stage they come in, let's say, usually you don't get the diagnosis of an autism usually until about 3-ish years. Sometimes it's 2, but sometimes 4. So it just depends on, and again, it's a spectrum, right? So we have some kids in our practice that have autism, that have had autism their whole lives, that you'd be chatting with them and you wouldn't really know they're any different than any other 7-year-old out there. And then we've got other kids that are, that there's something different because, maybe they're, they express themselves with just sounds and it's really loud, or maybe they, have certain sensitivities or different things, so it's a spectrum. And, this is one of the challenges of our work is like, okay, how do you recognize that, no matter where you're at, again, if you got a nervous system, you got stress, which is, pretty much those 2 guarantees of life, we can help you. So depending on where they're at, what their goals are, like Dr. Eva said, some parents come in, they're like, hey, my child has severe autism. They've never spoken a word. They've been delayed in all their milestones. They are sick all the time. They have low tone. They can't, have any focus. And we want you to, have them fully operational by next week. It's like, ooh, yeah. Most parents, I think, would not come in that way. I say most parents are usually like, hey, I'm looking to help my nervous system or my child's nervous system regulate. And I've been hearing all these things and I'm learning all these things. And this seems like a tangible way of doing that. So a lot of those parents come in kind of pre-educated, especially with the way that we try to do our Instagram and our website so people can, learn and digest this stuff before they even take a step into our office. But then we've got really awesome, sophisticated technology that is completely non-invasive, that doesn't put anything in their body, doesn't take anything in their body, but it allows us to measure their nervous system. And then it gives us a printout and a visual representation of what's going on. And that is such an awesome thing for those parents when they can see the stress on that vagus nerve of their child and they go, that makes so much sense because my child lacks the ability to regulate and they're sick all the time, and all these different connectors of like, wow, well, this is why, and a lot of times the other providers that they're seeing, they just kind of go, there's these certain therapies you can do. There's speech therapy, there's behavioral therapy, there's occupational therapy, all fantastic things, and all certainly can help kids reach a certain level of function. And then there's times where the system fails them, where maybe they didn't respond to speech therapy. Maybe they didn't respond to occupational therapy. Maybe they aged out of it, because that's another thing that happens too with some of these therapies. And what's so cool about chiropractic is you don't need a referral from your pediatrician. You don't need to have seen an occupational therapist or speech therapist or an ABA therapist or anything like that. We are going to evaluate your child's nervous system, look at where it's holding on to stress, create a plan that's based off of what we talked about, what your goals are, and what we see with similar kids. We're going to share that with you. And we're going to give you some options to pay for it, and we're going to get to work when you're ready to do that work. And then you want to talk about the actual adjustments and the work itself?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you mentioned the scans, because the reason that he can go in for a kid for the first adjustment that's swinging their arms and just go boop, boop, and then that kid has the best night's sleep of their life, it's because we did all of the prep work ahead of time. We dove deep into the health history with the parents. We did those scans of the nervous system, so we're able to map out and visualize where that child's stress is, and we can really be so specific with the work that we do. We don't have to have them laying on the table for 10 minutes, because that's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
So really our assessment allows us to take care of these kids in the way that we do. And then the adjustments are really just about providing input into the nervous system in the right places, consistently and over time. And this is a principle that I think a lot of parents actually nowadays are coming into our office totally getting this, because they've seen the way that this works in other therapies and with their children in general, which is just the way that the brain learns. The principles of neuroplasticity, we learn with repetition over time, and the brain and nervous system learn with repetition over time. So in the beginning, we've got to give the brain a lot of consistent inputs. I mentioned we have a kid that's on an intensive schedule, coming in twice a day on the days that we're able, hours-wise, and then once a day the other days, because we got to get that consistency of input into the nervous system to get the stress unstuck, to create a shift in the pattern that the brain and nervous system is very used to. It's comfortable where it is. So again, to create that shift, and that I think is another piece of this, which is that the care plan is a really important part of us getting the clinical results that we do, because the time and frequency with which we're providing these inputs is just as important as any other part of this work. And we had a kid that came to our office, actually had chiropractic care for I think 3 years with another chiropractor, but that was going monthly. And the mom was like, I just feel like it kind of helped. We hit a plateau, and this kid's autistic and has ADHD, and definitely is someone that I would give a big care plan to. And the mom was referred into our office by another mom whose kid was under care in our office and seeing great changes. And she's like, I want a care plan. I recognize that this could help, but I don't feel like it's helping as much as it could. And I want a different approach. I want a different strategy. And that child is thriving now in new ways, even after a month of care, of having years and years of this work done, maybe not specifically tailored to this child with these specific struggles. So yes, although I did mention that a neurodivergent child is no different than another human being in the approach that we do, while we do cater specific aspects of their care very much to their specific challenges, the way that we've seen children in similar scenarios respond, and what's enough momentum to kind of create that tipping point, to create a shift in the body, and at what point is it just not enough to kind of reach that critical point.
Wow. Yeah, and you have to team up with the parents on this, right? And how often are you having to do diplomacy with parents, because their child needs a little bit more of a maintenance plan or a program to go forward and heal?
This could be any kid. This doesn't even have to
in
be
general,
a kid.
yeah. Sports, sports injuries. I know you guys have a lot of athletes.
Totally, athletes, and then kids that have nothing wrong with them. And what was it, just yesterday? That was that dad that was like, so we started. I won't use her name. It was Monday. You did her first adjustment in La Mesa, I think.
I don't know who you're talking about. I need some context. Please.
We can bleep. We'll bleep it.
Yeah,
out.
I'll bleep that up. So and so.
You should have just said Mary, but yeah.
Yeah, but again, that's I didn't anyway.
Getting to me.
Anyway, so she did her first adjustment on Monday, and the team got a text once they left the office from this family, and it was a picture of a little girl sleeping in the car, and it said, "Dad was a doubter until now. Now he gets it. See ya on Wednesday." Yeah, yesterday I saw them. So they came back in, and I was like, "So tell me how," and they're like, oh my gosh, she slept in the car and then she slept all night and then she pooped a bunch and she never sleeps. And the dad was like, yeah, like so excited. And I was like, awesome. Like, do you have any questions? Like, I completely understand that this is a new thing for you guys. So to answer your question, Meegs, I think that we really pride ourselves on clear communications. One of the many reasons we named it Clear Chiropractic. We just want to be so transparent because it's going to come up where people don't get it. Yeah. There are so many people that never heard the word nervous system or, don't really understand what it is or don't understand how their vision of what chiropractic is, which is cracking backs. How could that ever help a child who is a baby or a special needs kid? So I think that both Dr. Eva and I really, really, really love leaning into like educating and taking a moment to be like, hey, Dad, I am so grateful that you even showed up to this visit because I understand that you're not really into this. You don't really get it. You had a bad experience. You went to a chiropractor and they hurt your back and all these sort of things. And I'm so grateful that you at least took this step to be open to this. And let me explain this in maybe a way that'll make sense. And does that make sense? What other questions you have? So like, we'll do that. And we really like, the whole team is on board with like, if we ever get an indicator from a parent that a spouse is not getting it or, whatever, we want to provide, availability. So, hey, I'll hop on a phone call with you. I'll hop on a Zoom with you. You come into the visit. Let me show you. Let me you can feel this clicker. Let me show you the scans. Let me describe what I'm saying because I completely understand, especially now that I'm a dad. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm a freaking protector. Like Rocco, Eva, it's like, if anything, I'm ever like concerned about I go into gorilla mode. And I'm like, oh shoot, I can completely understand why if my child was struggling with something, especially if they had some sort of unique situation going on, I wouldn't want my child to go into something that maybe has risk or is scary, or my cousin told me that their cousin knew a person that died, and like all these sort of like crazy things that you hear about chiropractors, which again, there's a lot of crappy chiropractors out there, which is another reason why we built this office for moms and kids and families so they can go get care in a place that's not weird, doesn't feel uncomfortable, isn't this sort of odd situation. It can be very open, very transparent, very clear, and then also very tangible results. Like it should be kick butt changes that you see in yourself and your kid. And if we're not getting there, we're going to course correct and we're going to stay accountable to that too.
Yeah, and you're caring for the whole family and talking about parenting. Perfect segue to the question. One question I've been really wanting to ask you is, became parents to this beautiful young boy, Rocco. He's amazing, my little buddy. He's so cool. What has becoming parents to Rocco? How has becoming parents to Rocco shifted your views on business and life balance?
I am working on rewiring a story that I've had for many, many years, which is that my output is dependent on my input in a very linear way. And I have these visions and I have these goals for our business and for our lives. And I'm breaking the story that I have to be the one to execute on all of these things. And I'm really embracing that if I want to build something amazing for my family, but I don't want to sacrifice my family along the way of attaining that goal, I have to receive help and support in order to make that happen. So I think it has, and with my pregnancy, even with Rocco, like it really forced me to slow down, which was very uncomfortable for me. And I had to sit in that. And then when I was postpartum, I thought I was going to go back after I thought I was going to be the mom at 6 weeks that was going to be like wearing my baby and like adjusting with the baby in the carrier. I always thought that was going to be. That was not me. I was hardly ready to go back at the year mark. I was like, do I even want to go back? Like it completely shifted me in ways that I never could have anticipated. So I knew I couldn't go about doing things the way that I did them before because I am not that person anymore. That part of me and that person that I was died in the birth tub when I was dying during the birth experience.
Still there.
And I came back to life and I'm a different person. I need to be a different business owner and I need to be willing to be creative and do things a different way because the old way isn't going to enable me to have the time with my son and to show up as the type of mom that I know I really value being. So as we grow our family now, it's how do we continue to go after the things that we want to do? We've got more on our plate than we ever have before, but how do I increase my capacity to be able to handle that? Because I want a big life. I want to have big problems that I'm dealing with because I'm doing exciting things and I'm challenging myself. And how do I really trust in my team and in being supported? And I think that's been a part of our scaling journey too, is like, how do we really put a team in place so we don't have to be the ones doing all the things to make the business go? Because that for me is not sustainable. And that doesn't allow me the freedom to enjoy my family and to show up for my family in the way that I really want to.
I love that, Eva. I love how you guys are really intentional about where you are today, in the space that you are today, which doesn't mean that you have to hold on to who you were yesterday, right? And those changes are it's so authentic in the way that you're going to grow your business and the people that you're going to hire and the interviews that you're having, because you're going to bring people in who you're going to integrate into the values that your company has. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, we were working with families since we were in school. I mean, forever. It was always like, we want to work with kids. We want to work with families. And I think that it really changed our perspective once we had a child, we're sitting there, we're experts in childcare, but we didn't even know that size 1 diapers were a thing. We just, or size newborn. We just thought it started at size 1. Like, there's just so many little things that you just don't know until you know. And I think, to answer your question, Miguel, for me personally, when I became a dad, I think 2 different things happened with my willingness for work. One was that now I had very clear boundaries of like, I used to just say like, all right, if a patient was running late, I'll stay as late as we need to be. Like, I want to serve them, want to take care of them. Now it's like, if they're not here at a certain time, I'm going home because now it's time for Rocco. Also, then it gave me a compassion to be like, wow, I'm a dad, and this precious package, if it's struggling, what sort of resources can I get it, and how do I get it? And we had challenges with breastfeeding with Rocco. We had a tongue, lip tie, all sorts of stuff going on. And it was a really humbling challenge, but then it led us to becoming international board certified lactation consultants. So it's like the challenges that we went through in pregnancy and early infancy. And as we're going through, it's like the whole time we're learning, okay, like, how do we navigate this? And then like, how do we then take these skills and then help other people with them? And okay, wow, we had this challenge. All right, let's go learn things. Let's go help more people. Then, all right, now how do we create even more of a congruent messaging? Because now, like, we can really speak to parents, be like, we know what it's like in the trenches, and here's why this is so important and makes such a difference.
Wow, another theme I'm getting from you guys: you embrace the obstacles and you integrate them, the lessons. But the obstacle, like the book, the obstacle is the way. You guys really do embrace your obstacles. Is so deeply inspiring, guys. Wow.
Yeah, I agree. Good job.
My
Good
God.
job, guys.
So now in those obstacles, I remember we moved to La Mesa, and then Eva's like, we're going to open up another shop. And
There's
then
that
like
visionary again.
and then within months you had another shop. Like,
Crazy
so
lady.
what's next for Clear Chiropractic? I mean, you got your team's growing. You got two shops, one in Eastlake, one in La Mesa. Your team's big. What's the next big move or obstacle that you're gonna conquer?
We're taking over, baby. We are taking
it.
over. La Mesa's grown so fast. I'm so grateful. He mentioned he was on interviews this morning. We definitely need another front desk person. We need to hire another chiropractor. I want to hire 2 chiropractors. I'm already thinking about another location. Wow. I want to grow our impact. I want to continue to grow our impact. And I don't, and again, tangentially at the same time, we're growing our family, and it's exciting to grow those 2 things alongside one another. And it's really exciting to embrace that we don't have to choose either or, that we can have both. And it's just a time of expansion and growth across the board, which is really sweet.
I'll just do whatever she tells me to do. Show up, clock in, clock out.
Let's go.
I'll be the best employee you ever hired.
So what's the one adjustment every couple should make in their relationship? Pun intended adjustment there, that every couple should make in their adjustment to gain some of that course correction that we talked about, alignment, that's beautiful and elegant way that you both show up for one another. What's one adjustment you would recommend for couples?
Self-reflection. You got to be able to grade yourself, and in a non-super judgmental way, but also a little bit of judgmental, like, hey, you're kind of being a jerk with these things. And so the ability to like look at your performance almost like an athlete, like watch the film. Okay, this is how we handle this stressful situation. This is how we handle this thing. How did I do? How did that feel? Do I want to do something different? If I want to do something different, how do I go get resources to learn new skills and to implement those things? So for me, it's always about, I can't control another human being at all. I can barely control myself. And that work in and of itself is worth doing your entire life. And another thing I'm trying to model for Rocco is like, okay, I want to show him healthy habits about how to handle frustration, because I get frustrated every day. I'm sure you guys do too. She does too. He does. Everybody does. So how do we create healthy habits? And it starts with modeling, and it starts with this thing of like, ooh, I don't like that Rocco just saw me handle my frustration that way. What am I going to do differently last time? And then good luck trying to do that. But at least being self-aware first.
I think to me, it comes back to the needs conversation, being able to identify your needs. And then most importantly, and I think this has been difficult for me, and I imagine it's difficult for females because of a lot of our patterning, but like being able to communicate what those needs are and recognizing that if I don't communicate those needs and if I let those needs go unmet, it's actually one of the most selfish things I can do is make the assumption and put it on somebody else to just meet those needs and to know what those needs are and to read my mind. So I think being able to communicate and then, set that almost like sometimes invisible bubble shield around myself of just like, and I don't need approval for that. And I don't care how you respond. I care how you respond, but it's more important for me to be able to express that for my own sense of self-respect than it is to elicit a specific response out of you. So for me, that's been a really huge and pivotal adjustment that I'm still in the process of refining.
I have to dig a little bit here because you guys are just amazing. Really, I'm really impressed.
Go digging.
Yes.
So
And
are we
inspired.
talking the way that you got to where you are today, the way that you're thinking, is this you guys got therapy individually, you're reading the right kind of books, you're doing what? How did you get here? Let's start with Dr. Joe.
Yeah. I will speak for myself.
Whatever you're willing to share. Too,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, totally.
trying to,
I'm
like,
completely open about this. There was a point that we were looking at therapy proactively of just like, hey, again, recognize like, hey, you know what? When we communicate in the office, it's a little bit short and kind of, we don't like the way that feels. We'd rather be more loving and more connected. Like, do you know how to do that? No. Do you know how to do that? No. Okay, cool. Like maybe we should go work with an expert. I think for us, it was difficult to find somebody that we felt like we connected with and understood us.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that's probably a common challenge for a lot of people. Through patients of ours, I found out like, again, one of the cool technology changes, like now you get all these apps and you could just like get therapy online and stuff and get connected. And we tried that a couple of times. It just didn't really connect with the person that we were connecting with. And again, it was like, I want to learn from husband and wife couples that understand what it's like to be in business and want to be loving and caring and really present in their family, not just crush their business. So it's very hard to find like somebody who I'm like, okay, that person, I'm going to listen to what you have to say. So again, I'll just speak for myself. A couple of different books, but like there was this thing that popped up on Instagram that about this calm program and calm couples. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I don't like the way that I'm acting, how treating Rocco and, frustration things like, okay, I know that I'm not performing well. Okay. And then it was like just a sequence of events. Like then I listened to a couple of his podcasts and then I purchased his courses. And I just like, every time I'm on the way to office just listening. Okay. Like here's a guy who's talking about different components of how to have healthy communication in your relationship, how to respond to your child and their strong will and all these different things. And again, it really just comes back to like, you got to work through your own stuff. And almost every time I get upset with Rocco or Eva or the practice, it's me. It's not them. It's just, I wasn't in the state where I really want to be. And therefore those old patterns kind of creep up. So again, it's always been about like, the proof is in the pudding, Joe. When you are disciplined about your sleep and your exercise and your needs getting met, you're a pretty awesome guy and you can handle some adversity. And once you start to drift from there, you don't get your needs met, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're not doing the things that bring you to a better place, you're going to be grouchy, you're going to default to that old pattern. So apologize quick and move on and go get those freaking things going.
Wouldn't you also say nonviolent communication? I know that you were really involved with that framework in school and you exposed me to that framework of like...
I'll just take one more second to share. Yeah, because I'm from New Jersey. So I came to California for chiropractic school, 22, young man, definitely with software that was from the East Coast.
East Coast bravado.
And it's
Italian.
just so different.
Italian.
Yelling, violent, like just this like world of like, that's what I thought it was. I just thought that's what young men do. And this is how people behave. And then I went to chiropractic school and there's like all these loving chiropractors in the Bay Area. And like these like strong guys are talking about the word love. And like, I literally never heard a guy say the word love before. And I was like, whoa, wait, how could you, you played football and you just said, I love you. And it wasn't like in like a locker room sort of way. And like, it was just so mind blowing to me. Like, whoa, like there's just, maybe I'm not as awesome as I thought I was, So there was this group on campus called Nonviolent Communication. It's an amazing Dr. Marty Rosen.
That was book.
Yeah, come on. And it was like, again, these kind of upper quarter students who were like, I really respected because they were like guys that could like communicate through things. And like, maybe I thought we're a little feminine at first, but now I'm like, oh, no, they're not feminine. They're just like, they're balanced. They're just not just like a jerk.
Well, it takes strength for a man to tell another man, I love you.
That's what I realized
That's
now.
strength, man.
That's
And
what
courage.
I realized now. And again, it was like, oh, just such an eye opener of like, wow, there's more out there. So again, for me, it was like learning the first way of like how to communicate with myself and others in a non-violent way. Because all it was violent communication before then. And then, okay, well, now it's easy for you to do when you got not a lot of stress going on. But like, then as the pressure cooker starts to expand. That's when, again, just getting more resources and tools.
Yeah, I mean, I think chiropractic school was pivotal for each of us. There was a lot of personal development and just a lot of exposure to a lot of different tools and resources to dive into patterns and having awareness around that. So I think that was big, but also I think throughout my life, there's been a lot of positive influences. I'm grateful for the way that my mom and that my family always sort of talked about our feelings and our behavior in a reflective way and an insightful way. So I think I had a good basis for that. And then I am a voracious and avid reader of self-development, metaphysical. I've always got 5 books going at one time, multiple on my Kindle, 3 on my nightstand. Most I've read halfway. And I'm I think I get it. Audiobooks. So I love consuming that content. And I'm again, we're very careful and intentional about who I let into my field. I recognize how we are influenced by people. And I think just being really intentional over these last couple years, especially as I'm a parent, of who I'm allowing to infiltrate my mental space, who am I listening to, who am I taking advice from, who am I calling to vent about my problems with, and do I like their lives, and do I admire their lives, and do I value the same things as they do? So I think having an ongoing mirror that is reflective of the things that I want to continue moving forwards in my life is huge. I don't know if I'm even answering the original question, but those are tools that I use to.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. One, it makes sense the chiropractic environment showing you a lot, and the work that you're doing afterwards, your background, you're really evolved emotionally
and mature
for your age.
For however old we are.
However young.
Yeah.
However young we are. God, I know we got to get you guys to go see some patients, but what an inspiring conversation. I mean, talking about healing through chiropractic, healing through self-development, self-love and care. A couple of themes here: gratitude, contribution, and another one that I got, Joe, was ownership. Owning your shit. That's our theme at our house. Own your shit. Yeah. Own it. And owning it. God, before we close, just promise that you guys will come back. I need another episode with you guys. You guys are so inspiring. That one, number one. Number two, when are you guys going to write your book? I want to buy it. Big fans. And I'm sure that our audience is going to become great fans. If you don't know Drs. Joe and Eva yet, you guys have your own podcast, which is freaking entertaining and educational. What is the podcast, and where can our audience find you?
It is the Scrunchy Mom Tribe podcast. We talk about parenthood, we talk about motherhood, and it's found anywhere that podcasts are found. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever they're calling that now.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you explain what scrunchy means?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So scrunchy is, there's the spectrum of different styles of parenting and of motherhood. There's the crunchy mom who's trying to do everything supernatural and organic, right? And then there's the silky mom that's doing all the traditional American things. And then the scrunchy mom, she's somewhat crunchy. She tries. She's interested in holistic living in a way. She's not trying to be perfect or kill herself over it, but she wants to incorporate more holistic principles in the way that she's raising her children and raising herself in that way, without driving herself crazy with it. Awesome. So I think it's a relatable angle that I think a lot of parents that are, in this age of information can really embrace.
Yeah, and Clear Chiropractic is online. You guys are clearchiropractic.com?
Yes, we are getclearchiropractic.com at getclearchiro. Clearchiropractic.com is taken, so.
Come see Dr. Joe and Dr. Eva. I mean, you're going to just talk to them and you're going to feel, wow.
Wow, yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us
amazing.
Today. We're big fans. You guys help us so much.
You did.
Yes.
In this 1 hour.
God. It's
you have poured into us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for pouring so much love, compassion into us, our community. You're healing all these beautiful children and families, youth athletes.
Good work.
Old dudes who think they're still young, like
Oh
myself.
my gosh.
Thank you. So find them, Get Clear Chiropractic. Also, the Scrunchy Bunch, you said?
Scrunchy Bunch, I like that.
I think I should change it.
Scrunchy Bunch.
Formerly known as Scrunchy Mom Tribe.
Scrunchy Mom
Soon
Tribe.
to be known as Scrunchy Bunch.
Scrunchy Bunch. Love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on Crown and Stage. Can't wait to interview you again. I love you guys.
Thanks
Love
so
you
much.
too.
We love you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.